Councilman William Dittmer.
Here.
Councilwoman Jenny Sorrell.
Here.
Councilman Richard Bloom.
Here.
City Manager Vincent Lupo.
Here.
City Attorney James Matthew.
Here. We'll move to comments from the general public. Mr. Thomas Brown.
Thomas Brown, 7436 Candlelight Court. I understand we're having an election for vice mayor tonight. Are we going to have 2 vice mayors? And what is the length of the term of the person that wins the election tonight? Thank you.
Do you want to address?
We're going to answer it. Okay. All right, we move to comments from the city manager.
None, sir.
Okay, comments from council?
No.
All right, then let's move on to the first agenda item, the election of the vice mayor.
I'd like to make a motion to have Will Dittmer sit in the seat of vice mayor.
Do we have a second?
I'd like some discussion, so I will second it only for discussion purposes.
Open for discussion?
I don't think that we should be electing a permanent vice mayor for the term of 3 years at this time, and I have basically 2 reasons why I say that. One, based on the charter, section 2.02 subsection D, which states that the city council shall nominate and elect by majority vote a vice mayor from amongst its members. The nomination shall take place at the first organizational meeting after the regular April election, which we're here. The process shall repeat if the vice mayor is vacated permanently. And then it goes on to say, all council members shall be eligible for this office. The mayor shall not nominate candidates for this office, but must vote for one of the nominated council members. Clearly, based on the charter and that subsection, I believe the intent is that is to obtain a majority vote for the vice mayor by all council members, not 2 council members or 3, and that all council members shall be eligible for that office. Again, it doesn't provide for 2 or 3 council members. Since this is a 3-year term, I would think certainly more than 2 council members should be eligible for that position. I don't think it's fair to new council members coming in not to be heard and not to have that ability to elect somebody. And again, the section does not provide for less than all council members. Otherwise, it would have referenced that contingency. So therefore, I don't agree based on the charter. My second reason that I don't feel that, that we should be electing a permanent 3-year term vice mayor is because I want to align myself with your philosophy, Councilman. And this is what I mean by that. For example, when we passed the minimum housing standards, you wanted to hear from the people. It was a good idea. I think that was appropriate. When we looked at the commercial housing standards, you suggested we have the businesses come in and let's hear from them. And then when we were trying to appoint a temporary council person, your suggestion was bring the residents who want to be heard, bring them in and let's hear from them. So I think those were good suggestions. And that's kind of how I'm aligning myself tonight with your philosophy. I think that we should be hearing from an entire council on the position of a vice mayor. They have a voice, they will have a voice. If they get seated, which they will at some point in time, they will not have had the opportunity, 1, to be elected, or 2, to vote. And I don't think that's a fair process. Having said that, we don't have a vice mayor, and it would be nice to have a vice mayor. So my recommendation is appoint a temporary vice mayor until we resolve the issue of a permanent vice mayor, either with Mr. Rowe resigning or being removed from office or what have you, or getting in the remainder of the council people in place, and then at that time consider making a nomination for a permanent vice mayor. That's my discussion, thank you.
Okay. We open it up to the public. Anybody interested in speaking? Sandra?
It's a one-year appointment, not a three-year.
Personally, I think we're being crippled the way we are now. And my feeling is that the city has to go on. I believe we do need a vice mayor. And I don't know if it'd be a permanent one because I believe that Mr. Rowe is not completely off the seat. So I feel what you're doing tonight will actually be a temporary one. I could be wrong, that's up to Mr. Matthew to guide me on that one. But I would nominate Will Dittmer to be vice mayor. I don't know how we could make a permanent vice mayor with still the mayor's seat is not fully available because he's only suspended. So anyone that takes that seat tonight, in my mind, and I was on the charter committee, so that has nothing to do with this particular situation. That was never even brought up on that committee. In my mind, we need to have somebody there as a temporary until we find out about Mr. Rowe and what the state is gonna do, if he'll be convicted or not. That's my opinion, I'll leave you with that.
And Mr. Brown?
Thomas Brown, 7436 Candlelight Court. I agree with Ms. Baldy. The vice mayor seat is not vacant at this time and shouldn't be filled permanently. Until June 18th, fine, but not permanently.
Can we say something? Yeah, can I say something?
The, City Council shall nominate and elect by majority vote a vice mayor from amongst its members. Shall. The nomination and election shall take place at the first organizational meeting after the April election. We do this every year. It's not a three-year appointment, has never been a three-year appointment, and I suspect we've been doing this for at least 25
So
years here.
Mr. Rowe's term would be up at this point.
Yes, his term would have been up anyway, okay? He was the acting mayor, which is a different issue, okay? We don't have any positions of temporary vice mayor, so you're appointing a vice mayor for the next 12 months.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'm still on the, then I'm going to continue with the discussion, okay, if you don't mind, Mayor. Based on your interpretation of the 202 Section D, is that Mr. Rowe's position is finalized because of the new election, and then this appointment would be, a vice mayor would be for how long?
1 year, as it is every year.
Okay.
We do this every April.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Looking for a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.